Welcome again, Ricardo.
Thank you.
We continue with the Brunello. So can you please tell me how many years before the Brunello Riserva is released?
The Brunello Riserva is released on the 6th year, so it stays one extra year in the cellar before it's released to the public.
So we have 5 for the regular Brunello, 5
Yes.
years, and 6 years for
And
the
6
for
years.
the Riserva.
And so these are the minimum requirements.
Mhm.
Then you can keep it even longer, but these are the minimum requirements for the wines.
In my experience as a retailer, I always had to sort of go into the explanation the consumer why the Brunello costs so much compared to the Rosso di Montalcino.
Yeah.
So I think the consumer needs to know that basically the winery is cellaring that wine from 5 to 6 years before it goes into the marketplace.
Exactly.
So it is an enormous amount of money tied up by
in the
you,
cellar.
by you, without getting any return on your money or on your time.
That's
So for you consumers, every time that you glance at the price of a Brunello, you must remember this: the effort, the time, and the money tied up by the wineries before they can release the wine to you for you to enjoy. What about the Rossos?
The Rossos can go on the market exactly one year more or less after the harvest, because it's the September after the harvest. So there's no specific rule about the aging in wood for the Rosso. So it's pretty much up to every winery. Most people keep it between 6 and 9 months in barrel. So that's up to different. It depends on what you want to achieve with your Rosso. Some people are trying to do with the Rosso a baby Brunello, so maybe like a very important wine as well. Some people are trying to do a fresher style,
more approachable,
ready to drink early, and
different occasions.
easier
also.
with food. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right. Do they have to bottle it in a specific type of bottle?
Yes, this one. The bottle, more or less this one, the Bordeaux style,
The
we
Bordeaux
call it
style.
Bordeaux style bottle.
Right.
That's the only bottle that's allowed in the DOCG rule.
Okay. Can you tell me something about the Sant'Antimo? It's a very important part of this whole appellation, I think, because it allows foreign varietals as well.
Exactly. Some people they wanted to experiment with different varietals. For in Montalcino, we're able to do so under the Sant'Antimo DOC. Sant'Antimo DOC basically is both white and red, and you can also do a Vinsanto under the Sant'Antimo regulation, and you can pretty much put any kind of wine under the Sant'Antimo, any kind of varietals allowed in Tuscany under the Sant'Antimo regulation.
Can you produce a Brunello from that area or no?
Oh, it's not a specific area. Basically, it needs to be inside the village of Montalcino, just like the Brunello and just like the Rosso. But certain areas, it's where you see the Brunello. It's kind of tough to explain. The Brunello rights are no longer available, so you cannot have plant and say this is Brunello. You have to own the so-called rights.
The rights.
Rights to plant Brunello. So lots of people either they have the rights to plant Brunello, or maybe they had some land and they plant some vineyards. They did so under the DOC or the Sant'Antimo. Usually you will keep probably your best grapes, for your right, for the Brunello vineyard,
Obviously.
Yeah.
Right. So, and how far away is Sant'Antimo from?
Sant'Antimo is abbey, so it's the abbey southeast of the village, so probably 4 miles more or less. But Sant'Antimo is really the name of the DOC. That was called like the abbey. They used something important in the village of Montalcino to distinguish from.
It's the Espriti of Montalcino.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about your winery and your wines, the estate Ragnaie. What's the history behind?
Basically, the estate was, it was. The farm has been there for over 200 years. And,
200 years.
Yes, exactly. But the grapes were always used to make to be sold to other wineries or for bulk wine. They were never bottled until 1996. Me and my family purchased the winery in 2002, and so basically our first vintage was 2002, was the worst vintage in the last 20 years probably.
Right.
So that was not very.
Well, that's awesome.
Yes, exactly.
It's a new name coming up.
Exactly.
And what is your role in the winery? What exactly do you do?
Well, I do a little
Besides traveling, obviously.
Yes, obviously traveling, which is the fun part of it. I do basically everything because we're a small winery, so I do from a little bit of everything, really, day in day out. Obviously during the harvest period and the winemaking period, September, October, November, we're very hands-on with that, and then of course.
Who is your winemaker?
We work with Maurizio Castelli.
Maurizio Castelli.
Yes, he helps us in the vineyards and in the cellar. He makes sure we don't screw up anything. He makes sure
he makes sure you follow the guidelines.
Yeah, exactly.
So you also own two other vineyards. One nearby
Montalcino.
Amiata,
Yeah.
Monte Amiata, and down another one down the hill from Le Ragnaie.
From the village of Montalcino.
From the village of Montalcino.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We have one that is right outside the village of Montalcino, which is where the wines were first made in Montalcino. That's the area that was first planted the vineyards, right outside the village.
Right.
And then we also have three different vineyards in the village of Castelnuovo dell'Abate, near the Abbey of Sant'Antimo, and in front of the Monte Miata, which are also very good.
So you are able to kind of do your magic because you get the best juice from all of these different plots, and then you blend your wine. But you're telling me, or you told me not too long ago, that you might be able to change that, and because the wine that each one is producing is so good, you want to produce under the vineyard.
From 2008, we've been keeping everything separate in order for us to be able to maybe bottle separately as a single vineyard. Right. If the quality is there for us to do it, if it makes sense. So we will see down the road. So far, it seems that the wines are very distinct and very different, and they probably.
So they complement them, and at the same time.
They complement very well each other, exactly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a shame.
The glory of
each
one of them.
So year in, year out, we might see the difference and decide to bottle them separately.
Now, Le Ragnaie seems to be like the perfect location, like the location that other wineries kind of envy. And where is that? Is it the high altitude, obviously?
Well, we're very lucky because we are in the southwestern part, but in a very high altitude, so that's can be very good for
the ripening of the grapes, I assume, right? Because
exactly. I mean, sometimes exactly there's a very good
dip in temperature at
excursion.
night.
Yeah, exactly. There is a temperature drop at night, and the problem sometimes with the southwestern exposure is that the vine is too hot sometimes in that part of Montalcino. But we're very high, and it's the weather is always perfect. It's not windy, but it's got the right. It's balmy, if you wish.
Balmy, yeah.
So
the right word.
It's very good for also for diseases. There's no problem for us, and we farm organically, so we're able to do that also because of where we are.
Is the state already certified as biodynamic?
No, we will be certified organic in September.
In September of the year.
September.
Bravo,
yeah.
That's the best. Do you see yourself as a modern or a traditional winemaker?
I mean, probably more towards traditional, but we use, of course, we use the temperature control in the cellar if needed. I mean, sometimes we use small barrels because we have to, but mostly we try and do longer macerations and use bigger barrels. So I guess in that, if you are to pick a side,
you get the best of both.
Yes, exactly. If you have to pick a side, maybe you say more traditional.
Yeah, we come back.
Okay.